So I have this space here, and there's a wall, a background that's clouds, and this floor was one of the tessellations that I took. So if I look at it and get rid of some of the layers here, I just start with something like this corner view, and I just use the transform tools to create this view, which is supposed to be like the corner of a room. So you can use the transform tools to create perspective. If you use a combination of Shift, Option, Command, you can take any rectangular or circular object and distort it in perspective. So here I have an example of a box where I did that. And I'm just starting with a new document, and I'll show you, I'll just create the box. But once you create the box, there's a couple of tools that are really interesting that will let you add to that box or that room and follow along with the perspective that you created yourself. So you determine how you want to develop that object in a 3D space. And then there's some tools that will help you align other images to that 3D space just to continue the flow that you're developing, the realistic type of space that you're thinking about as you're thinking in more than 2 dimensions. So I'll create like a 1200 by 1200 file here at 72. And just to demo this, I'm going to create a new layer, and then with the Marquee tool, I'm just going to create a box. And can you guys see my screen okay? Just want to make sure. Photoshop? Okay, good. Okay, so here I have a new layer. I have the Marquee tool. It's just a rectangular marquee selection. I'm going to pick a color. Let's say I pick red up here, and then Option Delete to fill that in. So I have the selection here, and then I can transform this in perspective by just hitting Command T. And if you use a combination of Shift, Option, and Command, or on a PC, you Shift, Alt, and Control, and you grab one of these corners, you can basically just distort that in perspective. So I'm hitting Shift, Option, Command on a Mac, and I'm grabbing the corner, and this is a perspective transformation. So I'm taking that box, and let's say I push it in here, and then if you want to decrease the width, grab Shift and push it in like that. So I can just adjusting it even more. So you can have that in perspective, and then duplicate the layer. So create a duplicate, Option, click on that, and just fill it with a different color. So I'll fill it with blue, and then hit Command T again for transform, and right click, flip it horizontally, and just line it up, and then you have a box, let's say. So with transform, it's Shift, Option, Command, the illusion of perspective. So this is 2-point perspective, right? Because the box kind of recedes on the left and right. It gets smaller on the left and right. So this is 2-point perspective. If you want to do 1-point perspective, what you can do is you transform it, and you hit Option and Command. And instead of transforming it in perspective, Option and Command or Alt Control on a PC, it does a skew. So now it's skewing it. So this is not perspective. At this point, it's just skewing the box itself. So I skew the rectangle using Option and Command, and then I do a duplicate of that, fill the duplicate with a different color so you can see it, and then take that duplicate and Command T to transform, and then flip that duplicate and drag it over. So this is basically in 1-point perspective, but it's also called orthographic perspective because the sides are parallel to each other. So you can create a scene where basically nothing recedes or gets smaller into the distance, and that term is called orthographic perspective, where nothing gets smaller as you go into the distance. It's an architectural type method to see each side of something and to see it clearly, but it is a false sense of perspective. Like nothing in reality exists this way, everything recedes in reality. So with computers though, we can create this orthographic type view and actually see each side of the box as the same height, but the height would actually recede in true perspective. So to get the top of that, what I do is grab a side and duplicate that, and then maybe change that to yellow, and then rotate that. And then here, what I do is I just adjust. I'm running out of space, actually. I have to increase the space here. So what I'll do is I'll take all these layers. I'm going to shift select them all and drag them so you can see them all together. So here I adjust this with transform again, but this time what you can do is you can just hit option and you can drag the individual sides here. And a lot of times with this, I have to zoom in and out to give myself more room. So I can adjust these individual corners by hitting command. And I think the problem with this though is I have some pixels there that are adding to this. So I have to, my transform is selecting too much information. So there you go. So I should only be selecting the area that the pixels take up. I think there was like some straight, and I'm going to go back and adjust the corners like this. So I'm just hitting, I'm not using the perspective tool. I'm just hitting the command shortcut and dragging the corner points of the transform here. So this is where I'm just eyeballing it. So that's an orthographic 3D box.